Personal Story segment tonight, we continue our analysis of what the biggest problem in America actually is. Joining us from New Orleans, Democratic strategist James Carville. So you've heard the bloviating so far in the program. First, you define what you say is the biggest problem, and then where I'm going wrong, and perhaps the other guests as well.
Well, I think the biggest problem is a long-range problem. Since the 70s, we've not been able to grow incomes in this country. So between the end of World War II and, say, 1973, 1975, everybody in America got a pretty consistent raise. Since around 1975 or so till now, there's basically not been a raise for 65, 70% of people in the country, and we're just having a very, very hard time figuring out how to deal with this. Right now, currently, the biggest problem we have is we've had too many people unemployed for too long a period of time, and this is a human tragedy of the first order that we need to be looking at very closely to see what, if anything, that we can do about this. I think those, to my mind, that's really bothering us.
The first problem about wages being stagnant and actually falling for African Americans under President Obama, how does the leadership in America deal with that? Does the federal government take over the private economy? But how do you deal with that in a system, in a capitalistic system, where competition drives wages?
Well, again, just a long-term problem has been going on since the 70s. We've just been through, in my opinion, we're probably still in a recession. Technically, we're out of the recession, but we're still in a very difficult time in terms of unemployment. As a result of the housing crisis, most people lost 40% of their wealth, and obviously African Americans have been hit very hard with this. There's no doubt about that. But, on the upside, we're starting to come out of it. The economic numbers are looking better. The health care costs are starting to flatten. It looks like we have a chance of having an abundant, cheaper, clean source of energy coming online. So, I mean, we got some things here that we can look forward to, too.
You're avoiding my question, Charles. What's the solution to the wages? Does the government... Look, the Obama administration wants to control the private economy, the marketplace, all right? And they're doing a lot of things to make the marketplace responsible to Washington, not to competition. So is that the right way to go, or do you allow the free marketplace to take it where it wants to take it?
Well, first of all, I think we have a pretty vibrant free market in this country. Second, I'll tell you what not to do. Let's don't cut Social Security. Let's don't cut unemployment compensation. Let's don't cut these kinds of things which are keeping people, or Medicare, which is keeping people to the extent that they can stay in the middle class. These are the kinds of things that they're depending on.
Nobody's talking about cutting Medicare or Social Security.
Well, sure, they're talking about it.
No, they're not.
They're talking about it today.
They're not talking about that because we paid into it. All right.
But people are talking. Paul Ryan's not talking about cutting Medicare.
They're talking about creating another system where you would have the option, not forcing anybody to do anything.
I'm sorry, but everybody's talking about cutting Medicare. The Simpson-Bowles people came out with a new proposal today. The president himself has even said that he's open to cuts in Medicare.
The only cuts in Medicare would come for people who are wealthy. Over a certain threshold. So let's not propagandize the issue.
Okay.
All right?
Okay.
Now let's get back to the vision that President Obama has as compared to your former boss, Bill Clinton. Clinton had a very responsible fiscal policy. All right? In fact, he ran a surplus in some of the years that he was president. He didn't attempt to micromanage the private sector. And he had a couple of economic bumps in the road. Whereas President Obama is the biggest spending president in history by far, and much more of a, I don't really give too much of a, I don't really care much about the debt, whereas Clinton kind of did, or am I wrong?
Well, first of all, when President Clinton took office, the economy was growing, was starting to grow. When President Obama took office, the economy was shrinking at an all-time rate. I mean, you got to be fair.
But talk about
you're a fair guy, so we got to be fair. Okay, that's one thing about you, a fair guy. So let's be fair here. I want to be, although I'm a Clinton person. Secondly, I think that both of them raised taxes on wealthy. Both of them tried to deal with health care. Obama, much to my chagrin, was more successful than President Clinton was. So both signed free trade agreements, which a lot of people dispute whether that helps or hurts.
So you don't see a big difference between the two on an economic basis?
Well, not so much. I see a difference in them in terms of like style. I think President Clinton is a much more outgoing guy.
But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about economic philosophy. philosophy. I'm firmly convinced that President Obama wants to create a Western European-style nanny state. I didn't see that with Clinton.
Yeah, I don't think, I disagree with you on that, but I do think that he believes in aggressive government during a downturn, and a lot of other people do. I mean, look at the auto industry situation. I think it was right, but he was pretty aggressive there.
All right, James Carville, everybody.